once the researcher has selected and defined the problem and selected the methodology for conducting the research, the researcher is ready for collection of data. Before collection of data, the researcher has identified the design for research, the sample for the research, and selected and developed the required tools for collection of data and described in detail the data collection procedure. So there are certain guidelines which need to be taken into consideration by the researcher before data collection, during data collection, and after the data has been collected. Now let's see what are some of the guidelines which are to be taken into consideration before a researcher goes to the field and starts collecting data. The very first guideline is, if you have more than one person who is going to collect data, training of the members of research team becomes essential. Each member needs to have clear orientation to this purpose of research, the kind of tools which are being used, the procedure which is likely to be followed, the kind of instructions that need to be given, and this is true especially when the research team is going to collect data through interviews or the observation schedule. So the kind of rating which is to be given or the kind of ranking which is to be used, that needs to be made clear to the members of the research team, and thus the training of the members of research team becomes essential. The researcher needs to take permission from the competent authority of the organization or the institution from where the researcher is going to collect the data. And once the permission has been obtained, the researcher needs to get multiple copies of the questionnaire, the standardized tests, the interview schedule, if it is a structured interview schedule, and observation schedule in order to be ready to collect data without hassles and without any hindrance. So it will depend upon the sample for the study that how many teachers are going to be included in the sample, how many students are going to be there in the sample for the study, and how many copies of questionnaire or standardized test or interview schedule are required so that on the spot the researcher doesn't face any problem. So multiple copies need to be obtained, and other materials which are required to facilitate the process of collection of data. For example, if you require additional pens, separate paper sheets, those all need to be collected beforehand so that you can go and do your job. In addition to that, before data is collected, the researcher must reach the location on time, and he should not waste any time and meet the competent authority. So these are some of the guidelines which need to be taken into consideration by the researcher before he goes to the field and starts collecting the data.